Well, good morning, good night,
Good
or
morning.
good evening. Good morning. Yes, just good morning to everyone.
Screw your time zone.
It's morning where
It's
I'm at.
morning here.
Welcome to the first episode of the Chill and Chat Center, a podcast that we've wanted to do for a little bit. We just wanted, honestly, if you wanted to know why we made this, it's because we just wanted an excuse to be able to chat with each other. So that's why we started this. I
Yes, sir.
I am Isaiah. I am your local Canadian and renowned liver in mother's basements. This is Brandon.
Hello, I am Brandon.
He he is renowned
I enjoy. Huh?
he is
I
renowned overthinker of game mechanics and is intelligently smart at anything he does.
I enjoy the Pokemon titles casually. I play a lot of Mario and I enjoy modding games.
A hun-
Cool.
150 hours in a Pokemon game I don't think is casual.
Pain. It's not even called playing the game anymore. It's called hating yourself.
it's it's not called playing the game, it's called living the game.
Exactly.
That's what you do as a gamer. You don't game the game. You live the game.
Get off my level, nerd.
Get on my level, nerd. I've put 200 hours into Pokemon Black. What have you done with your life?
What
That's
is this? Work out? Be healthy? Have a job? What? No, we can't be doing that here.
nah, we're all down here eating Tostitos pizza rolls, and we're
Yeah.
putting and we're all playing our favorite game, Super Mario Galaxy, for the 20th time this year.
Oh, I've only played like the first half of Mario Galaxy and it was great.
Well, you've only played the first half. You're missing out. Some of the best galaxies are in the second half of the game.
Really?
Yeah,
Shoot.
there's some really memorable ones. Did you at least get to Toy Time Galaxy?
No, I didn't. I was probably only a third of the way and then. Must be
Yeah,
a long game.
it's how many areas does it have? It has one, two, three, four, five, six main like hub areas where you choose galaxies in. So I think there's a total of like 25 or 30 galaxies. No, wait, 35 galaxies
Wow.
in the game. Yeah,
That's
there's
Wait, are galaxies like individual levels or like the host for the levels? Like hub worlds?
the galaxies are like the individual levels that you go to, kind of like the beehive honey hive galaxy, or like the
Okay.
or like the good egg galaxy where you fight, or where you fight the dino piranha weird abomination thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they literally throw you in the game and they're like, "Here you go. Here's a baby. Go kill the the child."
Nintendo is
And Mario
advocate.
just, yeah, Mario doesn't even like blink twice. He's just like, "All right, I guess I'll kill this thing then." Literally, right after it's hatched, you just murk it.
This just in: Nintendo advocates violence against infants.
It's Japan. That comes as no surprise. And it's also Nintendo. Have you seen the way they designed their games?
Dude, Nintendo used to value themselves as family friendly, but after a lot of the games that came out in the early Switch era, I don't think I believe that anymore.
Yeah, I'd consider it to be child abuse to anyone who had to buy Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Yeah, that's pretty clearly child abuse right there.
It's not child abuse; it's an actual form of torture that they use within FBI cells. They force they they force they forced people they capture to play 3 rounds of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and if they lose any one of them, they have to start all over again.
Gotcha. Is that what the Nintendo Ninjas are for? They just kind of capture and force you to play Amiibo Festival until you tell.
They force No, the Nintendo Ninjas are much worse. They bring you into a room with one single light hanging over you, and they force you to play the entire library of Virtual Boy games.
Oh God, leave me
that
out of this.
I'd rather shoot myself than play any single Virtual Boy game. Oh jeez.
Pain.
There's only been one good Virtual Boy game I've heard of, and that's the Wario Land game on Virtual Boy. That's it.
Was Virtual Boy the virtual headset that they had?
Yeah, that's like the red virtual headset they had in like the late 80s, early 90s, where they said that they were bringing 3D games. It's the one where all the games are black and red.
Gotcha. Yikes. Isn't there
Yeah,
a Mario Tennis on that?
there is, unfortunately. Actually, I think that's technically the first Mario Tennis in the series.
Wow, way to set a precedent.
Yeah, I know. You made Mario Tennis on the objectively no, yeah, on the factually worst Nintendo system in history. Like,
Yeah, you're not wrong. I tried to think of a worse Nintendo console, but like they've always knocked it out of the park.
I mean, the only closest thing that's come to the Virtual Boy is the Wii U, but the thing about the Wii U is that it still had some kick-ass games on there though.
Oh, everything was great about the Wii U except for marketing because people thought it was just an add-on to the Wii.
I mean, yeah, they could have definitely called it anything else other than a Wii U, and it probably would have sold better. But the other thing,
Yeah,
but I think the main thing that held it back the most was the Wii U controller itself, because it was really cool, but it was also it could also be a little w- weird to hold as well, and either the games were really gimmicky around the Wii U, or they hardly ever used the Wii U gamepad. There's only been like a very few games that have actually fully utilized the Wii U gamepad. One of them being
that's
one of them.
yeah.
Hmm.
It was never fully utilized, and that was one of my biggest problems with the Wii U in general. Is there was the big word right here is potential, but it was never fully utilized, and it was just kind of painful to see it fall into obscurity where it could have been like you could have had some very very unique games. You could have had some very
Hmm.
crazy opportunities with the gamepad interacting with TV for games, especially multiplayer games or not just using it for a map or just like a second screen.
Yeah, I think the one game I can always point to that utilized the Wii U gamepad really well was Mario Maker.
Oh yeah, that was perfect for it because you had a pen too,
Yeah,
something
you.
the Switch version lacks.
So even though Mario Maker 2 can be considered better, and I would say I do prefer it to a degree over Mario Maker 1. I think making levels in Mario Maker 1 is always going to be more fun.
Is it just me too, or the levels shorter in Mario Maker 2, or is that just like in my head?
No, because you also have to remember too that even though it is technically the next system in a generation, the Switch is technically a weaker system than the Wii U is.
It's what?
It's actually weaker than the Wii U. The Switch isn't as powerful as the Wii U.
Yikes!
And all and as far as I know, because you have to think about it too. The Switch, yes, it's technically a home console, but it's also supposed to be a console on the go as well, and as such, it can't be as powerful as a full-on home system like the Wii U.
That sucks.
So, in all technicality, even though a lot of games look great on a Switch, I think that games actually still look better on the Wii U in some regards than the Switch, and they run better. Because, for example, Breath of the Wild, it released
I
for
thought it
both.
worked better on the Switch.
Did it? Maybe I'm just
I
wrong
have
on that.
no idea.
Because I know that it was flagship to be a Switch game mainly, and it was just ported over to Wii U just because it released as like a launch title for the Switch. Which, by the way, what a banger of a launch title! Oh my word.
Great launch title, and then there was like a dead period for a long time before Ultimate came out.
Uh, I think you mean Mario Odyssey.
All right, so I kind of have a weird thing with Mario Odyssey where I think the game is very overrated. I think it's arguably the worst 3D Mario game,
Mm,
and it's not because of the movement. The movement is great. It's not because of the content or the maps. It's because it's just there's not enough content. Like there's not enough maps. I don't know why, but the game really felt like it was lacking to me. There was like so as you just said, there's 30 worlds in Galaxy.
Something like that.
Mario
Yeah.
64 has what like at least 40 or 50 levels. if I'm not mistaken.
Mario 64, no, it has like 18 or 20.
Oh, okay. How many does Odyssey have?
Well, that's the thing. Odyssey has like 15, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the shortest. Let me check.
I think so. Well, the thing about Odyssey though is that with Odyssey, even though it has the shortest amount of worlds, it still has the biggest levels. But what I do agree with you on though is that Mario Odyssey has the least amount of like long mission based levels in the game because a lot of the missions or quote unquote missions in Mario Odyssey are like are like 30-second to a minute like stuff where it's like go over to this place, do like this quick menial task and get your moon. Unlike where it's like in all the other games where the mission is based around the entire level.
To be fair, though, that's also because Nintendo's new design philosophy around games, where
Yeah.
it's like they expect you to play it, put it up for what 15 minutes, and then put it back down again.
Yeah. That's also very true too. They've marketed the Switch less as a home console and more as a mobile system.
Which sucks because I think I'd rather have it be the other way around.
Honestly, yeah. I think I think it'd be so cool to play home console games on the go, and I wish they would have advertised it like that because the thing about it with the Switch is that it's not like that you can it's not like when you close the Switch, you just stop playing the game altogether. When you put the Switch into sleep mode, you pick it up and you go back to where you just last were. So it still could work as a home as like a longer longer based game like with like a level like with games that have like hour-long missions. If you still need to play in 15-minute increments, that's fine. Just get to a spot where you can stop, then put the Switch in sleep mode and pick it back up later. That still works.
Exactly. Are there any games that are even like that on the Switch? Like me and mine.
That the only thing that I could think of, and they're probably all just ports honestly from like Xbox One and PS4. Like the only games that I could think of. No like dedicated Switch games that are like long based games that that were like home console based in mind that just work on a Switch. Like the only main one I can really think of that might kind of work as like a first party game on the Switch might be Breath of the Wild, but even then, a lot of the stuff you can do in there are like for example, the shrines. The shrines are like 5 to 10 minutes each. They're not long, so once again, there's that
Yep,
philosophy. But exploration is probably the thing that takes the longest in the game.
definitely. Yeah, that was what I was referring to. Was the shrine system was like another example of that same thing that I was referring to, where shrines
Yeah.
will take what 5 to 10 minutes to beat, 15
Mm-hmm.
minutes if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I heard the DLC for Breath of the Wild is good, but I haven't played it yet.
Me neither. Because if I remember correctly, I think it's like $15 per DLC pack or $20 for both. And I'm not sure if I want to shell out that much money for a DLC that lasts for like an hour each.
Yeah, exactly. I hear it was short, and then Master Mode or whatever it is complete BS.
Yeah.
From what I heard from friends who tried it, because like all the enemies heal, and since you have weapon breakage, it just kind of screws you over unless you just camp,
Yeah.
which
Which
does not sound fun.
okay, small little tangent about this, and then we can move on to our main topic. But my word, I do not like the weapon breaking system in Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
I
why not?
I think okay, I'll put it like this. I think it can work, but it's flawed in the sense that weapons break way too easily in Breath of the Wild.
Mm,
I know they want to encourage you to try to use different weapons, but in my opinion, I think it doesn't work because when you get a really good weapon, you the weapons breaks like really easily that it makes you be like, okay, I want to save this weapon for a rainy day, and then either you have the philosophy of you just keep hoarding a whole bunch of really strong weapons and then you only use them for like situations you need to, or you keep using the weapons you pick up all the time but they constantly keep breaking and you only get to use a strong weapon like every once in a while and you're always stuck using the weaker weapons you find everywhere.
super easy way to screw yourself over is doing that.
Yeah.
So the game actively punishes you for trying to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. If you want to try using the strong weapons, they're just gonna break really easily. And yeah, look, I get it. Some of the higher quality weapons they don't break after a little bit. And yeah, the Master Sword technically doesn't break, but when it does run out of fuel, it has to take 15 minutes to recharge.
Yikes.
It's not I would appreciate it more if the weaker weapons had less durability and the stronger weapons had more durability, something like that. Because you get the stronger weapons late game anyways, so it's not like that you're not like you're getting them like early game. You only get them in areas where you're gonna be there when it's late game.
Yep.
So it's not like that it's gonna break the game if you get if your strong weapon doesn't break after a little bit because you're gonna be using it for a while. You're near the end of the game, so you might as you might as well reward the player for going out of their way to find this really good weapon instead of having them find this good weapon and then hardly ever use it because they're afraid of it breaking.
It's kind of one of those things where the mechanic itself can encourage people to play differently, but it also discourages you to play like in a more fun way because you're always thinking about efficiency.
Hmm.
But the problem too is like, how do you encourage players to use more weapons? Then you just upgrade them.
I
You just
mean,
use the upgrading system, so they just got to keep picking up better ones.
I mean, it's true. I mean, like I said, for like weaker weapons, keep them as like low durability. I think that's perfectly fine. So it encourages players to keep having to run around and scavenge for weaker weapons early game because I think that's fun. Because part of the fun of Breath of the Wild is when you're starting off, you're trying to scavenge for whatever you can, but as you play the game more and more, you start to get these better weapons, and you start to actually gain a stockpile of stuff that you're actually able to hold yourself on your own. You're no longer scavenging; now you're adventuring.
Exactly.
I think
So I
that
guess that transition, good,
I think that would make for a better system, in my opinion.
definitely. I I understand that they also want it to feel like you're scaling up with weapons, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy to just screw yourself and not get anything good either.
Ain't that true? I mean, the only saving grace of the whole weapon system is what are they called? Oh, what's that tribe you constantly fight in the game that wear the red suits? What are they called again? They're not called the Sheikah tribe. What are they called? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The red suits,
Yeah, like yeah, like
it's not Yakuza, it's something else.
it's something else. But those guys that like teleport that just spawn in every once in a while to fight you. There's the ones that spawn in that have those really strong wind swords, and every time that you beat them, you will always they will always drop their weapon, and it's just a really good weapon. And if you swing it, it shoots out a wind blade as well, which is really good. And
I recall it doesn't last long though.
it doesn't last a super long time, but the thing about them is that you those guys you'll fight them enough times to the point where not really ever gonna be like you're not really ever gonna be missing them because there's usually another one just waiting around the corner for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the ones that the one weapon that I wish would last so much longer are the staffs, the elemental staffs, because those things are fun to use, but those things break so easily.
Aren't elemental staffs the thing that those wizards drop?
They do drop them, and the wizards are already tough enough enemies because they can teleport, they can bounce up into the air where only a bow and arrow can strike them, and they hurt you a good bit when they hit you as well. So when you get this really cool weapon, you want to keep using it, but then it just breaks after like a few uses, and it's like, well, that was disappointing.
Yeah, exactly.
But tangent over. Um, so what we wanted to do today in our first episode of the podcast is we figured a good idea for for the first one would be to share what some of our favorite games would be. So, what we came up with, it's an idea that I got from another podcast. It's called a 3 by 3 where you take a 3 by 3 grid and you fill every all 9 squares with 9 of your favorite games. And it's supposed to be able to show like a good relative, it's supposed to be able to show what kind of games you like, and it can show what your interests are and stuff like that. So let's take for example, let me get yours pulled back up here, Brandon, and show me exactly what we're talking about here. So, for example, the first game that I'd really like to hammer down, which I think you're gonna be very happy to talk about this, is Fury.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
That
So
is one of the greatest games.
I'm gonna let you take center stage with this one, but what exactly? Why did you put Fury as one of your 9 favorite games?
So with Fury, I literally got it because Donkey recommended it. So I remember I got my Switch, and I had no games, so I literally just watched Donkey's video, and for top 10 games in 2017 or whatever. So he recommended Fury. I was like, screw it, I'll burn $20 on this, whatever, right? I played through it and I had fun, and then I got maybe a good 7/10 out of the way up through, and I got stuck on one of the bosses later in the game. So I put the game down, and then a couple months later, I picked it back up, 100%ed it after restarting because I wanted to get my skills back up. But the game basically is bullet hell slash combat based, and it requires really good timing and really good reactionary and pattern recognition. The game never really cheeses you out unless it lags because you're on the Switch. But something I really like about it is the art style is great. It looks really good. It's cel shaded. The music is incredible. It introduced me to Carpenter Brute, who's easily one of my favorite artists. It's only $20. It's made by indie developers, and honestly, despite it being a shorter game, if you're not really good at those kinds of games, it's gonna take a little while to beat. And one thing that the developers said that I really appreciate was that uh, when they were creating the game, they didn't want stat boosts or anything. They wanted everything in the game to be purely based on the player's skill. So you're given a really basic move set, and the variety of the game comes from literally the bosses and how they function. You have to adapt to how they fight. So yeah,
And I can attest to it in the fact that I have played the game before, and I can I could definitely say that the game feels really solid. It's it's a hard game and it is unforgiving, but it's a game that's not about that's not about there to hold your hand, but it's a game that's there to test your skills and make you more skilled with your reactions and what to do when under pressure.
absolutely. And when you beat the game on the hardest difficulty, you literally get a note from the developers saying thank you for playing the game the way it was intended to be played, which is super cool.
Because
But yeah, hmm
wasn't it that they made the game originally as like the hardest difficulty, then they had to tone it down afterwards?
I believe so, yeah. But if they just threw you, because the first boss, the tutorial boss, it becomes his own full-fledged boss in the harder mode.
Which is so
Because in the
cool.
very, yeah, so they literally flesh out his moveset even more and all that. So it literally, like, when you beat the normal game and then you restart with Furier mode, it just takes the bosses and they only increase in difficulty a little bit, but their movesets get way harder to counter.
Mhm.
So you have to be on time with your parrying and with your pattern recognition because they get more phases and stuff.
What I appreciate about the harder difficulty is that one easy way to cop out on harder difficulties is to just throw in more enemies or make the enemies do more damage, and you could take less damage and then just call it a day. But what Fury does is not only uh, does it retune all the bosses, it gives them all very different moves, and it makes it so that way whenever you're fighting them, it's like fighting a whole new boss. That's what I appreciate about it.
Exactly.
Mm.
They do a really good job with all of that. What did you list, by the way, for your first game?
So I'll let you take a look at this one. I think we were going to talk about it, but the one that stood out to you the first over everything else was Smash Ultimate in the
It's
top
kind of
left
an
corner.
odd pick, yeah.
It's an odd pick. So I picked Smash Ultimate because I'm first off, I absolutely love the Smash Brothers series. It's one of my favorite game series of all time because not only has it been a way for me to be able to make some good friends, but it has also created some of my most memorable gaming experiences of all time as well. Not just actually playing the game, but being on these massive hype trains of watching these new characters come out has been a memorable experience that I've honestly not really seen with any other game series. And that's one of the most fun things about Smash Ultimate was the first, not even the game itself, but like the first year before its development, like the entirety of the year of 2018 from when it was announced in March of 2018 and that hype train all the way up until December when it was released was one of the most fun years of anticipation I've had as a gamer of all time. And I think why it is because Smash is just so good at being able to one advert advert fan expectation, and two, they're also really good at fan service and they do listen to what people want because people have been asking for King K. Rool for years, and when they announced that he was going to be in the game, the entirety of the internet blew up. And then after that, after the initial hype train, the DLC fighters are coming out as well were equally as hype as well, and it was such a roller coaster ride from the first the inclusion of Joker, where that was completely out of left field and everyone did not know what to think of it, to everyone initially being a bit more disappointed with Hero, and then he ended up being one of the most fun characters in the game, to the absolute disappointment everyone had with Byleth, and then it kind of, but DLC Pack 2 was for a different day. But the other reason why I like Ultimate as well is because of, in my opinion, I think Melee plays better than Ultimate, but Ultimate is a lot easier to pick up and play than any other one of the Smash games. I think it's the easiest game in my opinion to pick up the game and feel like that you can play on a high skill level. Would you agree with that? Or would you disagree with that, Brandon?
Yeah, there's a very low skill floor and there's a very low skill ceiling for Ultimate. Unless
Mm.
you include characters like Ice Climbers, but even then, the simple stuff isn't really that hard to figure out.
It's not really, and it's both one of its greatest strengths and one of its greatest weaknesses. The f-
Mm.
mhm. the fact.
Well, it's really good for parties or like getting people into games like 8 player Smash and stuff. I do think personally, though, competitively speaking, Ultimate is the weakest link out of any of the Smash games.
Easily, easily.
Yeah.
I think even Brawl had a better competitive scene, and the only reason why is because the competitive scene was actually based around the meta of one character, but the meta of the competitive scene of Smash Ultimate basically boils down to which character gives you the highest reward for the lowest risk.
Yeah.
And
It's
sadly it falls down to ends up playing as characters who are just brain dead easy. They hit really hard and you can't do anything in return.
Yeah, and that's not a result of the characters themselves. It's more a result of the engine. There's not like a lot of end lag on a lot of moves, so a lot of it's just waiting to play it safe. Your
Mm-hmm.
opponent messes up, and then you just do a bread and butter combo on them, and
Mm-hmm.
then reset neutral.
Yeah.
But a lot of the characters that are really good are known for having really good punish games and just being able to combo you to death and back.
Mm-hmm.
Like Joker's really good because he can just literally hit you once, and then he can carry that into a kill by throwing you off stage and then gun. Gun. Let me think. Wolf, for example, like everything he has, he can just keep doing it safely, and you can't really punish him for it.
Mm-hmm.
And he can kill you pretty early too. What, like 50%, maybe 60 with
Yeah.
down smash.
Mm-hmm.
Crom and Roy, for example, once they get you off stage, you're dead. You're just dead.
Or
Unless they mess up you.
Or how about Crom's out of frame 3-frame out of shield 24% option?
Pain.
Dude,
When it can kill.
there's a reason why Crom is my least favorite character in the game. Not because he's
Oh, that makes you feel any better. Good.
not because he's bad, but because of absolutely how brain dead he is and how he gets rewarded if the opponent attacks him. Essentially.
Bean. I remember seeing a chart and it covered how much, like, what Crom and Roy could do
Mm-hmm.
to react based on their moves, jab or side B or up B.
Yeah.
To react to any ledge option. And I think the slowest one they had was either frame 5 or 6, which is still enough to react to any ledge option that you choose.
Oh boy.
It's pretty gross.
I'm already starting to feel a little heated. Let's move on to something else.
Well, again, that just comes as a result of Ultimate not being a good competitive game. But in a casual setting, Crom and Roy are really fun. Because they're fast and they hit hard.
I'm going to say that even though competitively, Ultimate's the worst one, in my opinion, I think casually, Ultimate's the best one in the series.
Oh, by far, yeah. I know Project M is a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's only really good for, like, 1v1s or, like, people who know how to play the game already.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go in knowing some stuff, otherwise you're not going to be able to do much in Project M. But Ultimate, you can pretty much have your brain off.
I think one of the most fun times I've had in Ultimate is everyone has just gone hero and they've used nothing but down B, and it is absolute chaos.
So there's one game mode that I enjoy playing with one of my friends, and what we do is we all choose hero. You set it to a timed battle, and then you do it to any map, preferably like a really small one.
Yeah.
And everyone just does down B moves, and you don't get punished for it. Because you can just die and reset your mana. So you'll have people kamikazing left and right. You'll have people spamming thwack and whack, and you just get some really crazy plays when there's 4 people just spamming those moves.
So much
It's even better because you run out of mana, you just jump off a cliff and you just get more. You don't get punished.
It's so much fun.
Yes, sir.
I love it. So yeah, that's why I put Ultimate up there, because even though Ultimate does have some of the lowest lows in a series, I think it also has some of the highest highs in a series as well.
The map selection alone, not to mention the character selection, is just unparalleled in any game.
It truly is, and Ultimate can get you some of the weirdest matchups you would only see in flash animations in an actual video game. Tell me, what other game can you think of out there where you can play as Joker from Persona 5, Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong series, Steve from Minecraft, and Ryu from Street Fighter all on one screen?
When you say it like that, yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, Smash Ultimate does have the best third-party representation of any other Smash game.
Easily.
Brawl was the first one to do it with Sonic and Snake. Smash 4 started to wean out a little bit with it, but Ultimate just took the third-party train and just went with it.
Not to mention the Mii costumes and what they're doing with all that too.
I know people get disappointed when the character they want is deconfirmed as a Mii costume, but Mii costumes, just if a character gets represented as a Mii costume in an Ultimate, as a Mii costume in Ultimate, that's amazing. Like that's
literally a win.
That's literally a win. Like a lot of people, like a good example is that I remember when a lot of the most recent direct that came out for Kazuya, a lot of people were disappointed when the characters like Dante and Shantae were deconfirmed as characters and as Mii costumes, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're not a fighter," or it's like look at that. And I sat here because Brandon could testify for this, but I've been wanting Shantae in the game for a long time. I think she was probably my number one character I wanted in Ultimate over any other
by
character.
far.
But to have her represented as just a Mii costume in there, so she graduated from just a spirit to a Mii costume is huge.
I agree.
So I'll take any wins I can get, but that's why I put Ultimate on there. All right, now next one for you. Aside from Fury, which we already went over, let, the one game on here that you really want to talk about that's on here on your 3x3.
What was the other one? I need to take another look at my.
So the other eight you have on here is Final Fantasy VII. You have Project M, Minecraft,
Oh,
Pokemon.
Minecraft is easy. Minecraft is literally number one game of all time. Like, there's no competition for that. You
Yes.
cannot convince me that any game is better than Minecraft, like objectively.
Objectively, you're absolutely correct because it sold the most and you can do the most in Minecraft compared to any other game.
It's the best online multiplayer game. It's the best online freaking literally. I. It's honestly hard to put it into words. It's one of the very few games I have a hard time actually describing a sense of how good it is without you actually being able to play it. But
What I think about
the amount of ways that you can play the game is insane. You can make it a battle royale if you want to. With Hunger Games, you can literally create anything you want in the game, and it just becomes a reality
yeah, it's so
because of
true.
how easy it is.
But
Um,
I think honestly some of the best memories I've had in Minecraft haven't come from like the multiplayer experience, but have come in from having a server with a bunch of friends and just having a survival server and just building what you can in survival mode because you're no longer just playing Minecraft, you're experiencing it. You're investing into a world where you're not only surviving, but you're allowing your creativity to run wild and you're playing with your friends and maybe you're trying to outbuild who builds the fanciest house in Minecraft or maybe you're off exploring a hidden mine together or you're all on a project to defeat the Ender Dragon. Whatever it is, you're in there for an experience.
exactly, and that's one thing that Minecraft really excels at is the multiplayer options. Is you can just kind of do whatever you want. If you want to go and create something, you can. If you want to go just be a survivor, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
It really comes down to the players and the experience they want to have, but the options are there.
The limit of Minecraft is the limit of your imagination, and that's not an
Yep.
exaggeration.
I struggle to think of any other game that does it the same way Minecraft does.
There isn't because there's so much stuff you can do in Minecraft, and it's such a unique game that even though yes, it's overdone everywhere, there's a reason why it's the number one video game of all time and has overtaken Tetris. And if there's ever one game that I would recommend to anyone at any time, it would be Minecraft.
Easily. What did you have on? Did you have Minecraft on your list? No, you didn't. Okay.
I did not have Minecraft on on my list because I do like the game a lot, yes. But if you notice, a lot of the games that I have on here are more single player based games.
A lot of them seem to be based in the early like 2005 to 2015 era,
Yeah, they do actually, don't they?
Ex- excluding well a couple of them like Doom Eternal, Hat in Time, and Ultimate.
Yeah. But those are the only ones that are really like not within like that 2003 to 2012 era, 2015 era. I guess it's just
So why do you have? Oh, good.
no. This one's for you. Which game are you asking about?
What's up with Sonic Unleashed? I haven't played that game yet.
Oh, this one's gonna raise a lot of eyebrows, and
I heard it's actually really fun and it's very underrated. So
so Sonic Unleashed, I think, is the most polarizing Sonic game in the entire series. I've heard so many people say that it is a bad Sonic game, and so many people say that it is a fantastic Sonic game. I think what it boils down to is that people wanted Sonic Unleashed to be just Sonic Adventure 3. Is what they wanted it to be. And the fact that it wasn't, they got all disappointed about it. But Sonic Unleashed is not trying to be Sonic Adventure 3. It's trying to be its own game. It's its own game that's different from any other Sonic game in the entire series. And it knows that. It knows that it wants to be a different game, and it runs with it. And I think it has some of the best executions of of different things that other Sonic games have strived to do well of. I think it has the best story. I think it has the best cast of characters. They play off each other extremely well. I easily think it has the best soundtrack of any other Sonic game, hands down. I think that the Sonic Unleashed soundtrack easily goes in my top 5 favorite soundtracks of all time. Period.
Really?
Yes. Of any
Okay.
of any other video game, I think Sonic Unleashed goes in top 5 easily. It is.
Okay, so my what I've heard from other people's primary complaints with Unleashed, and Sonic Team has proven this time and time again, is that they feel like they can't solely rely on 3D Sonic levels for whatever reason, or because it takes too much effort to develop those. They always feel like they need to incorporate different gameplay elements
Well,
and add like filler, I guess you'd call it. So some people I know have issues with the beat 'em up sections because that's not traditional gameplay at all, and
mhm,
it feels out of place.
mhm. And yes, it can be considered out of place. And the beat 'em up sections are complete. If if you think about everything that makes Sonic what it is, which is moving fast, reaction based, and trying to get to the end as fast as possible, take everything that makes a Sonic game, and what is the exact polar opposite of that, and that is what the Werehog is.
Just being a slow beat 'em up.
It's a slow beat 'em up game that you take your time with, that is more puzzle based.
Ish.
Yeah, so it's very so Sonic Unleashed I've seen is either you like the game or you don't like the game. There's a very small camp of people who think it's just meh. There's there's a large camp of people who like it and a large camp of people who hate it. And I'm not gonna think any differently of you if you hate the game.
I haven't played it yet, so I'm a word. I just know that apparently there's different versions and that influences people's takes on it.
Yeah, because there's the standard version, which is the one for Wii and PlayStation 2, and there's the HD versions, the one for PS3 and Xbox 360, which yes, they're all Sonic Unleashed, but they're essentially completely different games, honestly.
Yeah, I heard the levels are different and there's like different gameplay.
The levels are different, the gameplay is different. It's called the same game, but it plays completely different. The only thing that's the same between them are the characters, the in-game cutscenes, and the story, and and the locations as well. Like where like the
Yikes.
and that's it. Everything else is completely different, and I do not know why. But if I had to recommend, I'd recommend playing the HD versions over the standard versions.
That's what I hear is there's a better version, like a definitive better version, and there's like a weaker version.
In my opinion, I think the HD versions are the better versions.
Aren't
I
they like more complete games too?
They are more complete games because in the HD versions, there's an entire world that's left out of the standard version because there wasn't enough memory. And of all worlds, it was the world that represented America, specifically New York City.
Wow.
Yeah, take that for what you will. So, but
That's kind of the weird thing.
bless
Excuse
you.
me. Thank you. That's
Mhm.
kind of the weird thing I noticed with Sonic games is they really can't. seem to nail down a consistent experience.
Nah, they they really cannot. There's not one Sonic game that's like. I mean, I think the closest we've ever gotten to a consistent gaming experience in any Sonic game has been Sonic Generations.
I was just about to say that, yeah. Generations is known for being good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh,
Yeah, that's that. I think that's a good testament to show like how how much of a roller coaster ride it is to be a Sonic fan.
Pain.
It's pain because you get like one gem and then you get a whole bunch of either they're like games that are hated upon release, but then people look back at them and see how good they are, or they're just actually bad games.
What sucks too is how often the companies that like build the games get actively screwed over by Sega trying to rush things out for holidays. Sonic
Mm.
06 was literally rushed because of a holiday. That could have actually been a decent game in my opinion, despite the really crappy story.
I
Like
think
it had the potential.
I think one of the best stories, and you're the one that told me this. Why don't you go ahead and share the story of the development of Sonic Boom?
Oh, what's funny is it's not even exclusive to Sonic Boom. It's happened in other games too. So
Really?
Sonic Boom was created by Big Red Button Entertainment, and they only really knew how to. All right, so I gotta add a lot of context to this first. So, um, first of all, Sega and Nintendo had a deal going on where Sega would produce 3 Sonic titles for Nintendo consoles, and it was part of their contract. So they made Sonic Colors, which was exclusive to the Wii and the DS, and then they made Lost World, which was exclusive to the Wii U,
And 3DS.
and Big Red Button was tasked with Sonic Boom. So they did the redesigns and everything. It was an Americanized port or whatever. Like the company was American, so them extending development out to an American company was a huge deal for Sega, right? And so they started production of the game. They have this trailer, and you can still see it online. It looks beautiful, looks like fun, and all that stuff. And it actually looked like a decent game, honestly. It looked like kind of a generic beat 'em up, but with some cheesy outliers and all that. And then uh, the game eventually released, and as far as we understand, what happened with the game was they had some very potent developers on there, but they were using this thing called CryEngine, which is compatible with the Xbox One and the PS4 at the time, and it looked great on those. But because Nintendo is sadistic, they produced things differently and use a different engine entirely. And the CryEngine was not optimal for the Wii U at all. And keep in mind the Wii U is already underpowered. So it had to translate everything from CryEngine, and it was weaker anyways. So they pretty much got screwed over, and then they still had the holiday release or whatever deadline that Sega put on them. So they got thoroughly screwed, and the developers started quitting left and right. People didn't want their names associated with the project. They had to keep downgrading graphics and everything and cutting content left and right just to get the game out to release and actually be beatable by the time that the game was released. And when it came out, it was a mess. Sadly, the same thing kind of happened with Sonic Forces, where Sonic Forces they created a new Sonic engine for mainline devices so that they could actually run things on an HD engine and everything. And from what I understand, they spent about 3 years out of the 4 on Forces development on the engine. So
Jeez.
Forces got like less than a year of production, and the task team that made it is incredibly small. I remember watching the credits, and there was like maybe 2 animators.
That's it?
Yeah, it. I'll have to show you the credit scene sometime, but it was painful.
Jeez.
And it's kind of sad when you see like those kinds of things where there was a lot of potential there, and they just get actively screwed over by things that were out of their control. And then it makes everyone look bad. It makes Sega look bad. It makes them look bad. Anyone associated with the project. And I don't know what the solution is to things like that, because sometimes deadlines are good. They exist for a reason, but sometimes you just kind of get screwed over because production.
You think Sonic Forces may possibly be the last Sonic game?
The last what game?
The last Sonic game? The last mainland Sonic game that will come out? Because there really hasn't been news
No,
of a new Sonic game since then.
we already got an announcement for a new one.
Wait. Oh, yeah, sorry, we did, didn't we? Never mind, you're right.
Yeah. Granted, it doesn't look good. My faith in the saga has gone downhill drastically, but
Mm-hmm.
I've got to get some hopium in me. But we all know it's not going to be Adventure 3 because that was actually Sonic Heroes.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you know that? Sonic Adventure 3 is actually Heroes.
I mean, it's a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's a fun game. It's just that it's funny that it wasn't titled Sonic Adventure 3, but it was titled Sonic Heroes, which I guess fits the game a
Yeah,
lot more, though.
they wanted it to be more kid friendly and more accessible to children. That's why they didn't name it Sonic Adventure 3, if I recall correctly.
I mean, I guess they could have called the game Sonic Adventure 3 Heroes if they really wanted to, because Sonic Adventure
That
2
would have
is
been a good name.
yeah, that would have been a good name because Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That's what kind of name is that?
That reminds me, I messaged Sega a couple years ago and they blocked me on Facebook.
What you messaged them about?
It might be gone now, but I messaged them on Facebook a couple years ago. It was like 8 years ago, and I was like, "Hey, I really enjoy your games. When are we getting Sonic Adventure 3?" And then they blocked me. There was literally just no response. They just straight up instant blocked. I can't find their Facebook.
I think that was their response.
Yeah, it was just like, we're not dealing with this today. Screw you. I can't find it, dude. Hang on. I want to see if they even have their Facebook page still up. They probably don't. The amount of crap that this poor media managers probably have to deal with Sonic fans.
The media manager probably looks over at his manager and is like, "Hey Rick, we got another one asking for Sonic Adventure 3. What do we do?" And the manager is like,
Oh,
"What's up? Did you find it?"
no, the message them page is gone. I can't message the page anymore. So I can't even open up our chat. It's just gone.
They got too many people asking them when Sonic Adventure 3.
I might have screenshots available, but I'm gonna have to go through a couple thousand photos and get those for you because man, it's funny. It's just like a full. I also got, I think it was KFC. I got KFC to respond to me a couple years ago,
KFC
and
to respond.
the
to
social
you?
media manager had a day. Yeah, let me see if I can find it, but it's really funny because the social media manager just had fun with it, and he made up a little story. Because I was gonna take my girlfriend out at the time to not to Taco Bell, excuse me, to KFC. I thought it'd be funny. Like I didn't actually want to take her out there because it's gross. But I was like, I was trying to bait a response out of the social media manager,
So you
and
just
it
like
worked.
so just like, "Hey, I'm going to take my girlfriend out to KFC. What should I recommend? What do you recommend to order from there?" Or something like that.
Yeah, that's literally what happened. Hang on, let me find it real quick. But have you ever messaged any social media brands and got a response?
No, I've never done that, but I kind of wish I did now because all the social media brands that like I followed or saw all the, like their stuff they did was all on Twitter, where you can't really like message them. I guess you can message them directly. You just have to add them instead of just like directly messaging them. But I think the most fun I've seen is when it was at like the peak of when like a whole bunch of fast food chains were on Twitter and their social media managers were just having the time of their lives. Like it first started off with the Smug Wendy chain, and then you had Arby's and Taco Bell and KFC all going at it with each other, and then you would just see like some big fast food chain like Arby's advertise something in there, and then you just see the official Wendy's Twitter reply underneath saying, "Man, I wonder how many preservatives they have in their meats or something like that."
Oh, Wendy's easily won the Twitter war
Oh,
by far.
they did they did not pull any punches, and that's why it was so much fun.
What's the best part too is that somehow like you'd expect the corporations to be scared to death, but I guess this guy just had fun and said screw it. Maybe it was their last day,
What's
and then out of nowhere it was just like, all right, well, might as well just say whatever I want on the social media page, and then people at the top were like, it's working, keep doing it.
what's so funny is that even with like actual people who would like actually message the Wendy's trying to compliment them or stuff like that, they would still get absolutely shot down.
Hmm.
They didn't hold any punches to anyone. Didn't matter if you are a big brand corporation or you're a customer actually buying stuff from Wendy's. Didn't matter. You got the flaming spatula of Wendy's social media manager smacking you across the face.
Incredible.
All right. So I'm gonna ask for one more game on your 3x3 for you to explain. Oh, which one should I explain? Because you were explaining Fury and Minecraft. Which one? Hmm. You know what? No,
Oh boy, I'm just looking through old screenshots, and it's just. I remember when they first added the gay react, and my brother and his friends would just sabotage people's entire Facebook accounts and just over gay react everything to the point all they had was like the little gay icon all over their profiles. So you look on old posts, and it's just a bunch of like gay reacts. They're just all over the place.
That's amazing.
Ugh. Yeah, they would just collectively rate everyone with it. Let me see what I can find.
Oh,
Old screenshots or something else.
all right, Brandon. I've got the last one here that I think would be a fun one to talk about for your 3x3. What you're looking for old screenshots.
Oh boy.
Final Fantasy VII.
You know what? It's really hard to say much because I don't want to spoil the game. But having an RPG with an in-time mechanic where your moves recharge with time keeps you really engaged. It's genuinely a fun mechanic to have like an RPG where everything is timed out. These moves have like cooldown and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you engaged, so it's not like turn-based entirely like Pokemon is, for example. Like Pokemon is do your move, wait 20 minutes. In that move, your moves are always in that game. Your moves are always recharging really quickly, which means you're always like on your toes,
Yeah.
trying to make sure quick decisions. There's always that pressure too, because if you don't move fast enough, then that gives the opponent time to move. The story is incredible. I'm not going to go into detail on that because there's spoilers, and if you know nothing about it, it's best to go in blind.
Mm-hmm.
The map is huge, for example. There's a lot of places to explore. The music is iconic, and the graphics have not aged well, but it doesn't matter if you're able to look past it and get into the universe because you get attached to the characters really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the music is one of the best parts of it, easily, by far. The music carries that game hard, in my opinion.
It's so iconic. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's weird because you'll be playing it for the first time, even if you're older, and it's just nostalgic. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's the best way I can explain it. Is it just the way the tones hit? They'll instantly get in your head and they'll get stuck.
No. Like.
Um,
Like the battle theme from it, Genova's theme, One Winged Angel, just to name a few.
Absolutely. Cloud is iconic. Sephiroth is iconic. It was back in those days where they actually felt like putting effort into character designs and taking risks with what you could and couldn't say in a story.
Mm-hmm.
And that game does get away with a lot. I'll tell you that much.
I've I've
Quite a bit.
I've still needed to actually play through the full game, and it's a project of mine. I think if we
It's gonna take a while.
I think if we ever do get a chance to actually do series where we actually sit down and play games, I think Final Fantasy VII would be a fun one to play through.
I agree 100%. I think that Final Fantasy VII is well worth it. It's definitely a grind, but I'd be willing to restart my save file and play through it with you.
I think it'd
Kind
be
of have like a
fun.
little bit of homework.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. But that's what I was. That's the other one that I was most curious. That I was most curious about on that one, or I thought that one that was the most interesting, the most standoutish of all the rest of them. Was Final Fantasy
Yeah, it's
VII.
an older title, but I
Mm.
actually got introduced to it thanks to Smash. When they added Cloud to Smash 4, I was like, hey, might as well try it out.
Yeah, and
And what do you know?
fell in love with the game, which is amazing.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right, I'll let you pick the last one on my 3x3. Which one do you want me to talk about of all nine of these?
Making it tough. Let's see.
Hmm. Which
Let's
one?
do something easy to talk about because I want to save Doom for like when we have more time.
Yeah.
But
Which one? Well,
let's
other
do a Hat in Time then.
ahead in time.
I haven't played that yet.
You
It
haven't
looks
played.
fun.
Whenever people ask me now what my favorite 3D platformer is, I always am able to surprise them because I never go to the plumber anymore. Ever since I played A Hat in Time, The Hat in Time
Really?
has stolen my heart as my number one favorite 3D platformer of all time.
That's a pretty high bar.
It's a really high bar. I think the main thing that I like about A Hat in Time is that it's trying it in it's trying to replicate the charm of what it was to be like an old school N64, early GameCube, PS2 era 3D platformer. One that has a lot of
Okay.
one that has like a lot of charm in it. One which is one which just you just played and you can't help but have a smile on your face the entire time you're playing it.
Damn.
It's it's full of character. There's not a single there's not a single world in the game that I dislike. There are some that I like more than others, obviously, but there's not a single world in the entire game that I dislike. And I think that the best way that I can describe it is that it's like a modern adaptation of an N64 3D platformer collectathon.
Really?
So
So is it more like
it's more
in line with the older games?
it's more attuned to like if you it's not exactly like a collectathon. There are things to collect. I think the best game to compare it to is that it has the charm and it has the characters of a game like Banjo Kazooie.
Okay, so it's like an old-fashioned platformer. Does that mean it's more linear or more open?
It's more for the most part it's more linear than it is open.
Gotcha. Okay, because I've seen some of the gameplay and it reminded me more of like Crash with how the lineup was.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like it's like linear to the point where it's like Crash Bandicoot, but I'd say it's more like it has the mission based system like Mario 64. It has a collectathon and the charming characters of games like Banjo Kazooie, and it has the varied levels and the amazing music of Donkey Kong 64.
Woof.
Mm-hmm. Which which
That is incredible.
yeah, the best way that I can describe A Hat in Time is that is that it's a like I said it's a charming old school 3D platformer made in the modern time. And I mean the price tag isn't that bad either. It's $30 for if you play through if you play through the main story, you're you're gonna have like a 15-hour experience. 10-15 hour experience.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think let's put it like this. I think the main game is already a pretty good game. I think I'll say that.
Really?
However, the main game, if it was just a main game, it would not be in my top 9 favorite games, though.
No.
What makes A Hat in Time are the two DLCs. The two DLCs boost the game up from like a 4-star game to a 6-star game easily.
Jeez. What does it even add?
So there's two things it adds. One, it adds some of the best and some of the most creative worlds in the game. The first DLC world it adds is it's an entire cruise ship that you get to explore, which is already pretty unique that you haven't seen anywhere else. The second world it adds is an underground metro system, which is owned by a mafia, which are all cats. The
What
wor-
in the world?
it sounds like it sounds like it sounds so out there, but it works extremely well. It even has such a charming name too. It's called the Metro.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the mafia are all yakuza is what it is, and it's probably my favorite world in the game. I'd say, but
So was the gameplay the best part of the game? The graphics, the music, story?
story definitely isn't the best because the story is really simplistic, like a good platformer, where
Okay.
where the thing that the power so you play as you play as a girl who flies in a spaceship. So she's kind of like an alien girl, but she looks human, and her ship runs on magical hourglasses that can manipulate time. And one day she gets too close to a mafia planet, and they barge into her ship, and all the hourglasses fall out of her ship, and they fly into a whole bunch of worlds all around the ship. And now to power your ship again, to go fly off again, you have to go down in the worlds and collect the hourglasses. That's the entire story. It's simplistic. There's individual stories for each world, which also add to its charm as well, because it's like you leap into a world, and it's like there's another story with there's like another like smaller story of that world that you get to play. Like I think the world that has the best story by far probably has to be the second world, where you the entire world is essentially a movie set where two movie directors are fighting for who gets the award, who gets the award of that year, and you play as the lead actor for both directors, and depending on how well you do in the level depends on which which director wins the award at the end of it. It's really cool. It's a really cool concept. And then there's the third world, which everyone remembers for because of the also lovable character Snatcher, the ghost of the ghost of the woods that that will that that will steal your soul and will make you work for it via contracts he assigns to you. It's a lot more charming.
Really?
It's a lot more charming in the game than I'm making it sound, but it's really he's a fun character. He can be a bit of a jerk, but he's a fun character, and there's a reason why he's one of the most memorable characters of the game.
Damn.
But the characters, the charm, and the story and the music, they're all charming. But I think what really makes it shine is the gameplay at the end of the day, because the game feels good, and you can do a lot of stuff in the game that you would think would make a 3D platformer be broken, but the levels are designed around it so that way it makes you utilize every single move, and it makes you have to use every single move in the game.
So it actually utilizes the full move set, which
And
is really nice to see.
it does. And then that brings me up to my favorite part of A Hat in Time. Once you beat the main game, if you bought the first DLC, Seal the Deal, there's a post game thing that you can do called the Death Wishes. They are, without a doubt, some of the hardest challenges I've done in any video game. They are
How are they hard exactly?
they push you to the absolute limit. They basically take already existing missions in the game and they remix them to make them a lot harder. So they either add new mechanics in them, or for example, four with all four of the bosses in the game, they retune them to make them extremely difficult, where it's it's basically playing a brand new boss. You're not playing the same boss. You're fighting a brand new boss.
Damn.
hmm And they do such a good job at if the main game if the main game showed you how to utilize every single one of your moves and how they can all be used, the death wishes are there to push you to utilizing every single one of your moves to its maximum potential. The
Is it like fair platforming though, or is it like BS?
No, everything in it is fair.
Okay.
It takes time, but there's never anything in a game that I would consider BS. Well, correction. There are some things in the death wishes I would consider BS, but the thing about them is that they're all post game and they're all absolutely optional. You have no obligation to do any of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's only there if you want a challenge. and you're going to get one hell of a challenge. But they do also they are also nice as well, in which that yeah, these challenges are hard, but they also reward you with some of the best with some of the coolest stuff in the game as well, which that's stuff for another day if we ever get a chance to show off ahead in time, which is like cosmetics. You can dress up your main character, and badges, which are like equipable stuff that you can equip onto your character to alter the gameplay.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds incredibly fun.
Yeah, I've even gotten into the hats as well. There's so many things that make the game so good. I think honestly the weakest part about the game honestly probably has to be that once you beat once you beat the main story of every single world, there really isn't much to do in the worlds other than like, go back and collect what you need to. But it's kind of most of the worlds, excluding one world, aren't that much fun to explore once you beat the main story. That's probably the biggest gripe I have with it. If it weren't for the death wishes and the bonus worlds, the post game would be kind of lackluster.
Yikes.
So that is a big gripe I have with it. But I could keep going on about a hat in time, but I'll stop it for now.
No, it's all good. This has been a good conversation, honestly.
It has been. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this is because once I begin talking with you, it's kind of hard to stop.
I agree. Same here.
Yeah, because
It's a very easy conversation. We've already been going on for an hour and a half.
an hour and a half, really?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, it's almost 11:30. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
I
Well,
think now's a good time to call the podcast quits, honestly, while we're still good.
yeah. Well, we're still good. So we'll call it off for now then. So, well, you know what? Thanks for tuning in and
Thanks for tuning in.
tune in and keep up with us, and we'll give you updates on whether on any future episodes that we come out with, and we'll keep you
Sounds
updated
good.
on if we even start any other projects we have in mind as well, because we have one other project we want to try out as well, which I think would be a lot of fun as well, which we'll get into that if we do actually get started on that. But for now, tune in until next episode. But until then, have a good day.
See ya.